Hello, and thank you for joining us today for our Panzura webinar, How to Save Thousands of IT Hours a Year Using Vizion.ai. Our presenter for this webinar is Vizion.ai Product Manager, Grant Getz. Joining Grant is Andy Peoples, Technical Architect at Terex Corporation, who will discuss real-life applications for Vizion.ai. Before we begin, I want to go through a few housekeeping items. You will all be muted during the course of the webinar. And if you have any questions, please enter them in the question panel and we'll address them at the end of the webinar, time permitting. With that being said, we're ready to get started. Grant, I'm going to hand things off to you.
Thank you, Sam. I really appreciate it. Hello, guys. Thank you all for attending today. This webinar is going to be about Vizion.ai, a product built by Panzura for Panzura, and how to save thousands of IT hours a year. I'm very proud to have one of our biggest Vizion customers here with us today, Andy Peoples from Terex. Andy, if you can go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do, what Terex does, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Hi, everybody. My name's Andy Peoples. I'm a technical architect with Terex. We're a heavy industrial manufacturer specializing in aerial work platforms and screening and washing for the quarrying industry. We have around about 60 filers deployed in the estate, and we use Vizion extensively to audit and monitor our estate.
Thank you so much, Andy. I appreciate that. So before we get started, just a little rundown of what our plan is today. I'm going to keep it high level within a little slide deck that we have of Vizion.ai, and then I'm going to dive right into a demo of Vizion, bring in Andy where I feel fit, and make sure that we're presenting you with the value of how Vizion.ai has been so beneficial to our Panzura filer customers. But before we dive into that, a little bit about Vizion.ai and why it was built by Panzura. Panzura, we needed a solution to really allow our users to search, analyze, and control their data. And so we wanted to introduce Panzura's best friend, which is Vizion.ai. As you can see from the picture here, we like to think of a man's best friend as a dog. So Vizion.ai representing that, and get a little bit insight into exactly how Vizion.ai can be beneficial with the dog being a bloodhound. But that being said, let's dive right into it and show you a little bit about what Vizion is. So Vizion.ai is a multi-cloud data services platform. We have a handful of different services that we offer. The two services that are our main providers within Vizion today are our analytics service for files, as well as our analytics service for Elasticsearch. And these two are presented here. The one on the left is the analytics service for files. And this is really why Panzura built Vizion.ai, really giving you the opportunity to search, analyze, and control that data, and dive a little deeper into the insights that we provide to understand the user actions behind that data that you have within your Panzura file system. On the right side, we have our network analytics and security information and event management system. So if you're familiar with like a Splunk or a Sumo Logic, we wanted to make sure we provided a service to give you a centralized logging solution without all the headache. And so really giving you an opportunity to deploy Elasticsearch stacks, ingest the data connectors that are valuable to you, and then have that centralized logging solution available. Today, most of our focus is going to be on the analytics service for files, the left-hand side. And this is the service that Andy Peoples is using. So we're going to make sure that we're providing you guys with the insights and the value that this service offers for our Panzura customer base. The first piece is the search capabilities within Vizion.ai. This allows you to search through any location that you might have a Panzura filer, see where that data is located, clone it to a new location, recover it from a previous snapshot, as well as dive a little bit deeper into the data that you found and understanding the audit activity within those files. Andy, when you were looking at Vizion, what was something that intrigued you about these search capabilities?
We needed to find a tool that was powerful enough to search all of our filers across the state at one time. We couldn't find an alternative that would give us that level of performance. Straight out the bat, we would have to generate our own databases on a per site basis, and that didn't really scale. So we needed an external utility to perform that for us.
Yeah, definitely. And that's really what we see a lot of our Vizion.ai customers saying, is just looking for an opportunity to have a solution that is fully integrated with their Panzura file system and gives them a very easy way to search through that data, and ultimately make you guys a little bit more productive when finding that data and not having to search through a bunch of different files manually. The next piece is the audit solution within Vizion.ai, and this is really what has made our Vizion.ai customers turn the corner and into adopting Vizion. It's providing a way to really allow us to have that data security on your Panzura data, gain insight into understanding how your storage footprint is changing, who is causing those changes, share those results as you understand the audit information that's being presented to you, see that pattern of what audit data is being presented and how that matches up with your personal timeline. But ultimately, and really the reason why this has been a great product for our Panzura customers, is the opportunity to feel ensured that you always have a solution to fall back on when you need that audit data. In a lot of cases, it might take an event within your organization to realize that, hey, we need something in place that we can prove and have evidence for a situation like a data breach or maybe some unauthorized file access. Having the opportunity to see that information quickly, not have to dig through a syslog server and find those events. We've had a number of cases where users are spending days to find audit information that with Vizion.ai will take them just a couple seconds. So Andy, maybe you can give us a little bit of insight into why having an audit solution was important to you, and what was the reason you chose Vizion.ai?
Yeah, sure. The big fear, like you said, is data breaches, data security, and things like that. One of the main use cases we have is files and folders being moved accidentally, and being able to work out the sort of chain of events. First of all, using search to find if the files and folders still exist, therefore it's been a move, as opposed to a delete, and then using the audit tools to work through the timeline to see what happened with the folder, and being able to demonstrate that the user moved, dragged, or dropped a folder by mistake, and but without the audit functionality, that, like you said, was trawling through syslog, antivirus events. It was a very long, protracted process with no guarantee that we could find a definitive answer.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like that's something that we hear from a lot of our customers that are using Vizion.ai, just having a very easy way to find this information ad hoc, and make sure that you always have something to use in the case that you do have to provide this evidence that something might have happened, maliciously or not maliciously. Just having that tool available to you to understand how your data is being accessed and the users behind those actions. The next piece is taking that audit information and really allowing you to take action on those insights. And this is really where I feel Vizion.ai differentiates from the competition. It's not only just giving you the high level of what has happened, but the opportunity to take the next step in what is valuable to you. So for this example, maybe you realize the file was deleted, or maybe it was renamed. In the case that you're able to see those audit events, you can then take an action as far as maybe recovering that file from a previous snapshot to have that file or folder available to you on demand. So this really allows you to leverage Vizion.ai in a way that you've never been able to do so before, by understanding those actions quickly and then taking action on those insights. The next piece is the analytics of Vizion.ai. And this is just a part of the analytics that we have within Vizion today. I'll get into it some more analytics that we're providing within Vizion and how it relates to the Panzura file system as well. But this is really giving you the opportunity to understand that hot, warm, and cold data that you have, dive deeper into what those data sets consist of, or the audit information behind those. So if you wanted to drill down into maybe everything that's been worked on in the past 7 days, or just understanding all of your cold data, you have that opportunity within Vizion from a visual format, and then the drill down capabilities. As well as understanding how your storage is changing on a day-to-day basis, the users behind those changes, allowing you to be a little bit more proactive in understanding how your storage footprint is ever changing. And then once you have those insights of what that data consists of, deciding what's obsolete, maybe you have some redundant files, or maybe it's just some really big files that you weren't aware of, you now have that visual insight, and then drill down into understanding what that data actually is. The next piece is a little bit more into the analytics of Vizion.ai, and we've taken the stat collection system from the file that you might all be familiar with or not familiar with. We've been collecting statistics within the Panzura file system for a while now, but we wanted to make sure that we provide you with aggregate visualization for your whole file system, and giving you metrics on CPU, memory usage, disk I/O, events by location, your SMB user accounts, as well as some very valuable cache stats. And then the ability to also, not have to monitor this all the time, but also set up alerts and be notified if anything is out of the ordinary. Andy, I know that you're a pretty heavy user of the Freedom Pulse feature within Vizion.ai. Can you tell us a little bit about why this was valuable to you, and maybe what insights you like to derive from this?
Sure. Before this was launched, we had to create custom dashboards on each of our filers to display the same metrics that are now available in Vizion. While that worked, it was a time-consuming process to jump between multiple filers to try and analyze this data and to keep track of, like I said, 60 filers globally. So with this new single pane of glass, I can quickly identify if there are any filers which have issues, and then I can troubleshoot them before users actually log a ticket that there's a problem. And the other side of that, when there is an issue comes in from our help desk that a site or users are having problems, the ability to quickly look at the dashboard and to try and pinpoint where that issue is, as opposed to making educated guesses, which is time consuming. We can just narrowly drill down, find the problem, and resolve it quickly.
Awesome, thank you. So now we're gonna dive directly into a demo of Vizion.ai, and I'll show you the magic behind it and why it's been so valuable, and hopefully give you some nice insight into ways that you might be able to use it for your organization. So what you have here is just a dashboard within Vizion.ai. This just gives you a very quick overview of what's indexed into Vizion. But the real value here is once you have this metadata indexed into Vizion, is the opportunity to take action on the data. So as you see at the top right here, we have about 36 million records indexed. And once we have that available, we can take action on the left side here. The first one being global search. I like to think of this as the Google search on your data. If I wanted to search through those 36 million files, I can search for something like SpaceX and very quickly be given results related to that search term. So in this case, I search for SpaceX. I have 106,000 files that are related to that search term ranked in priority. And then the opportunity to filter by what I want to look into. So in this example, we have a handful of different filers all around the world here. These are Panzura filers, but we also have a legacy storage device that is connected into this environment. So if you wanted to extend these search capabilities into other environments outside of your Panzura and just have the ability to search for them and understand that data a little bit better, you can definitely do so. In this case, maybe I want to filter down just to my Panzura file system. I've went from 36 million records to 25,000. And then I have the opportunity to say, okay, I have the file path for this file, see where that file is located, the size of that file, when it was last modified, or any snapshot versions that are available for that specific file. In this case, maybe it's a SpaceX JPEG. I can go ahead and select that file, and then this is where I said we really differentiate from the competition. Is once I find what I'm looking for, I have the opportunity to take action on this. So in this example, I can either recover this from a previous snapshot, clone it to a new location, maybe I have a user that needs that file, or I can audit this specific file. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right into audit. And then I went from, like I said, 36 million records down to 27 actions on a very specific file that I was looking for in just a couple of seconds. So now that I have this information on this file, I can filter it out by a specific user. I'll just do myself. Most of the actions here, 25 actions on this specific file, are from me. I can understand, maybe I want to look at just when this file was opened. I can see, oh, okay, now this file was opened 4 times. This is the time that it took place, and this is a user behind that. So very quickly, I'm able to narrow down into the insights that I'm looking for. And then once I have this information, I have the opportunity to export these insights and share them with the users that need to understand this. So on the top right, I have the export functionality. I can go and export this into CSV or Excel. You can go ahead and start that export. And then I can open this. I'll give you a little bit of insight into what this looks like. But basically, we are providing you with a very clean export that shows you the parameters you searched by, the results that were given, and now you can share this information with anybody that needs to be aware of it, whether this was just day-to-day checking on a specific file or folder that is growing, or in the case where something might have been a data breach, you have the opportunity to share this evidence. Andy, can you talk through maybe a little bit more about what your process is in going from something that you're searching for and how you use search, as well as how you leverage that file audit?
Sure. So our first port of call is always search. Can we find what we're looking for? Is the file still available in the file system? From there we start to audit what has happened to that file. If it isn't there, we start on a different path of trying to track the actions. But we're always keen to see the full picture of what happened running up to an event, and then what happened straight away afterwards. So it's not just the action if the file was moved. If the file was moved, who then potentially looked at the file after it was moved to its new location, which can be potentially quite important too. What we always end up doing is exporting the data out to Excel, and then we can do some finer manipulation of the dates and the times to see if we can track the events over time, sort of build up a timeline to see when it happened, who viewed it, was the file then edited as time moved by, just to give a visual representation in Excel to whoever has raised the ticket with ourselves to investigate. And we do find that is a very useful tool.
Definitely. And when you were looking at audit and the different solutions that were out there for accomplishing your need when it came to data security, what did you look at maybe, and what were the reasons that you felt Vizion was the best fit for you?
We looked at a couple of solutions. One industry leader was telephone number prices to get what we wanted, and it wasn't feasible. Other tools we investigated didn't have the capability to actually audit a Linux-based appliance. They were Windows only. You would have had to install agents, and whenever we investigated that, the overhead to the organization was massive, not only on the filer that was being audited, but also having to aggregate that level of information and process it, and then having to have some way to actually extract useful information from the data that we gathered wasn't especially feasible for us to undertake. So the only standout alternative we had was the Vizion product.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Is there any situations where you feel that that Vizion.ai will really be available to you, maybe in the case of, you know, an event within the organization or something that you feel that would be, you know, the main reason why you felt having an audit solution for that data insurance, if you will, to be available?
Sure, yeah. Audit is the primary function which we purchased Vision for. The ability to see exactly what is happening on the estate is critical for us. Without that capability, we wouldn't be able to give the answers to the leadership team that are being asked of us. We just would not have the ability to say what happened, where did it happen, timestamps, and then and give them the full picture of the entire event from start to finish, not just a case of a user deleted a file. We can give them the full picture of exactly what happened, when it happened, and really broaden it out for them. And that's the key functionality that we see this tool offering us.
Definitely. Yeah, and like I said, we hear this a lot from our customers, and unfortunately, some cases, it takes the realization that event happens to understand that, hey, Vision is something that we actually need. So I highly encourage you to at least try out Vision and start using the audit capabilities, because in the case where something does happen that's unprecedented, having a solution like this available to prove that something happened, have that evidence on hand and shared to the people that need to understand that, definitely becomes a case of importance, when beforehand it might have not have been a something that you realized that you needed. So highly encourage you to take advantage of it. But moving forward away after the audit into the other features that are within Vizion.ai that really bring a lot of benefit is the opportunity to recover and clone files. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and give you an example. We have a way to save some complex searches that you can use here. So in this case, I'm looking for a very specific file within a path. It'll take the SpaceX file within the specific path. And I see that I have 2 snapshot versions available for this specific file. So once I click that, I can see the different timestamps for these snapshots. And then I have the ability to either recover this file or clone this file to a new location, as well as audit that specific snapshot. So in this case, maybe I want to go back and recover from this snapshot. I can put in a user case, name it. I can point it to its original location or a new location, set up notifications for when that data is available to a specific user or myself, and then I can create the path for that file or folder. So it really just giving you an opportunity to find the data you're looking for. Again, take action on what you need to do with that insight, and ultimately having that data available when you need it on demand. Now we'll go into the file analytics. This is really giving you insight into that hot, warm, and cold data that you have within your Panzura file system, as well as your biggest files or smallest files within that same data set, and maybe more importantly, how your storage is changing on a day-to-day basis. We realize that a lot of our customers were struggling with understanding how their storage footprint is changing, why it was changing, and then having the ability to actually understand those insights into those changes was fairly difficult. So what we wanted to provide here is just some nice visualizations into these metrics, but then also the opportunity to drill down and actually understand what that data set consists of, or what those changes consist of. So in the example of our hot, warm, and cold data, we can see the last accessed here. Maybe I want to drill down into my hot data and just view all the audit information within that specific data set. I can very quickly leverage that audit search to understand all the different audit actions for everything that's been worked on in the past 7 days. I can go back into analytics, and maybe I want to drill down into my cold data and view all the records that are associated with that cold data set. I can see that I have almost 6 million documents within my cold data. I can leverage those searches to maybe filter by a specific date range, maybe a specific filer. I can also export these results, share them to understand, okay, this is all the cold data I have. Maybe I need to store certain files in a more cost-effective tier, or just understanding the data that I have that hasn't been accessed in a long time. We'll go back into analytics. Maybe I want to drill down into my biggest files. A lot of times we have users that just don't understand what their biggest files are. I can filter down by specific sizes. In this case, we have a file that's 43 gigabytes. A lot of cases I've seen customers with files or folders that are hundreds of gigabytes in size and just weren't aware that this even existed. So being able to see that information quickly, export, share it with the relevant people, and maybe either remove that if it's redundant, or at least have better insight into exactly what data you have, is very valuable. I can also dive into how my storage is changing on a day-to-day basis. We don't have any big spikes here, but in the event where you have a big change in your storage and you want to understand the users behind that, I've had cases where people have talked about maybe all the Marvel movies or somebody's personal data was added to their storage and they had a big change in their storage footprint. You can now drill down into that spike and understand all the audit information behind that change. So you're taking those visual insights and allowing you to be a little bit more proactive in understanding how your storage footprint is changing, sharing those results, understanding the users behind those changes, and hopefully saving your company some money in the long run. The next piece is quotas. This is taking that management or proactiveness of understanding your storage footprint kind of to the next step and giving you the ability to set up a quota on maybe a specific user or a specific group of users. You can select the type of quota you want to set up. You can define the user that you want to set that quota on. Maybe I want to give this user a 10 gigabyte limit. I can set up a threshold for when I want to be notified that that quota is met, as well as when that quota is exceeded. And then I can set up the email recipients for who needs to be notified. Maybe it's just myself and the person that exceeds that threshold or quota size. And then I can create a custom email to exactly notify the user, hey, you reached a certain threshold, you've reached your quota. This is how you reduce your storage footprint. This is who you contact to help you reduce that. However you want to do that, we have some nice ways to customize that, as well as some default templates that you can leverage there. So again, just a nice way to be a little bit more proactive in managing your storage footprint and ultimately maybe saving your company money and just having a better control over how your storage footprint is changing. And these are all soft quotas today, so it's not like it's going to be a hard enforcement on stopping a specific user. A lot of cases, that's not exactly what you want, but we are also adding some additional functionality here to take these quotas to the next level. The next piece is Freedom Pulse. And this is something I want to dive into a little bit and bring Andy into as well. This is taking that stack collection system that we have on the filer and ultimately giving you insights into the health and monitoring of your file system. So right here is just an overview section. We give you some nice metrics over your top filers. This will show top 10. We only have 2 filers in this CloudFS. But in the case of Andy, I know you have a lot of different, I think it's almost over 60 now. You're able to see some cool metrics around CPU, memory utilization, your local disk usage, cache missed, LAN upload and download speeds, WAN upload and download. If you're behind on snapshots on any filer to filer, as well as some metrics around how long your filer's been up, how many users are active on in that specific location, etc. And we have some drill down into the dashboards that I'll go to in a second. But I do want to give Andy the opportunity to speak here on, Andy, what is maybe some metrics that you really like to focus on, and what do you, when you come into Freedom Pulse, what is valuable to you, and why has it been important for you to adopt Freedom Pulse and within Vizion?
Yeah, the main usage we see for this is the aggregation of the statistics. We would have looked at the same statistics on each of our filers, but like Grant said, the estate is growing, and that's just not feasible at a large scale. So have it all in one place to just see at a quick glance the health and any filers which have any issues rise quickly to the top of the charts, and we're able to call those out. Two of the metrics which we find especially useful is the filers falling behind under snapshots, and then the other one is the sorry, excuse me, and then the falling behind, and then the cache missed. Those are the two metrics which we look at a very quick glance to see if there's some health issues. Has our ISP gone down at that site, which means that we're not getting our snapshots, so collaboration becomes a problem, or has there been some massive data change at a site which has caused the cache to be completely refreshed, which is leading to performance issues for users. So we see those as two very useful metrics that we can quickly jump in and start diagnosing what the problem is, and start to drill down from there into what's going on.
Definitely. And Andy, just to make sure the audience is clear here too, you have how many sites within Terex that you are looking at when trying to diagnose an issue?
We have 59 at the moment, I believe.
59. Okay, so having this, I'm guessing this top filers metrics is nice to get that very quick view of the ones that might be falling behind or have some cache missed.
Yeah,
probably your main.
exactly.
Okay,
exactly. Just to have that one single pane of glass is exceptionally useful.
Awesome. So this is just the overview section, just giving you a nice way to, like Andy said, just very quickly identify if anything is going acting out of normal. And then also the ability to drill down into each one of these different dashboards. So we'll dive into the system dashboard first. This will give you, CPU utilization, memory utilization over time for each of your filer, your bandwidth limits, your network traffic, if your SMB user count over time for each of the filer locations, disk IO, and this is all real-time data. So, or near real-time, sorry, this is still through the last day, but maybe I want to look in the trend for the last 7 days. I can do so, and those charts will change to give you those trends over time, show you those metrics, and give you a little bit of insight into what the regular cadence is for each one of these charts within this dashboard. If I wanted to go into the storage chart, I can also do this. This will show you local disk stats, cloud disk, metadata storage, your cache stats, what's hot, warm, cold, maybe cache missed, evicted, what your managed storage is, how your working cache is changing over time, your cache usage over time, cache hit and missed, and like I said, the cache stats, and just in a visual format to see what's deduped, evicted, as well as freed. So each one of these dashboards just gives you a little bit of insight. I believe, Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, but the overview is really just a kind of a nice way to see that quickly. But if in the need that you need to dive into a specific filer and understand these, you can definitely see those.
Absolutely, yeah. It's starting from the dashboard and then working my way down into more detail on the specific filers.
Gotcha. Yeah, so this is the cloud one, the cloud dashboard as well, to give you that site-to-site latency, how many snapshots you're syncing per minute, as well as how many snapshots are being uploaded, generated, or that you might be behind on a per filer basis. You can also go into the failure rate. Obviously, we haven't had any failures here, so if you needed to see that, you can also understand if you ever had any upload or download failures. We can also go into the events for these filers. So this will give you events by location and events over time. As you see, we have a couple different filers. You can see the geolocation of those filers, the total number of events, the opportunity to filter out by a specific kind of event, and then see those events aggregated by event level to understand what events are actually maybe something that you want to dive into. And then we list those out for you and give you the opportunity to see what those event messages are. So just like I said, a nice way to go from an overview and then into a deep dive into understanding those statistics. And we know from a management perspective, these are very nice to have. It gives you a quick way to understand what is happening with your file system. But maybe more importantly, and it's our opportunity to set up alerts for this. So we have set up a way to point these alerts to Slack or Microsoft Teams. You can also point these alerts to your email. This really gives you an opportunity to not have to come into Freedom Pulse all the time and check, but be notified and allow you to be a little bit proactive, more proactive in real time for when these events maybe go out of or not in their normal state. So just a nice way to be notified and then the opportunity to take action on those insights. Another part about Vizion.ai that I just want to make sure we highlight, this is a SaaS solution, and it is a little bit different from the filer in the sense that we don't have to wait for a specific build for a release to be available to you in most cases. So the opportunity to provide feedback into the features that you want, and everything in here today is based on real Panzura customer feedback. So we're always improving this to make sure that the features that we're adding are directly impacting our Panzura customers. So again, this is a Panzura product built by Panzura, and we want to make sure that everything that we build here is valuable to you guys. And we do update on a bi-weekly basis. So everything, if you need something or something that would be valuable to you, we take that very seriously from our Vizion customers and implement that accordingly. Another piece I want to add is the ability to extend these capabilities into your end users. So in this case, I have a handful of different users added natively within Vizion.ai. You can also leverage a single sign-on service. So maybe you are using Okta, Azure AD, ADFS, one login. We support a handful of different sign-on services. Very easy for us to add a new one if there's something that is a requirement for you, and then extend those search capabilities or maybe recover and clone capabilities to a specific user, define that role, and make it very easy for them to access this information on their own. Andy, is there anything else you want to add to maybe the value of Vizion here and all the different features that we provide within this one service? I know file audit is your main one, but what was the reason that you felt having all these in a central portal was so valuable to you?
Yeah, like you said, file audit is the most critical one for us. The fear of having some sort of data breach or an issue is the primary driver. But as well as that, the day-to-day management of the estate requires us to have the Freedom Pulse dashboards and just that continually requests come in for files being moved, who did it, when did it happen, and the audit capabilities that it gave us are tremendous, and they're used on probably a weekly basis to track down an audit event. The Freedom Pulse is more on an ad hoc basis. It's as and when we have an issue with a filer, the email alerts I make use of extensively just to keep a track of what's going on. And then if there's something that's popped up, I'm able to jump in and then diagnose from there.
Perfect. Yeah, so I kind of piggybacking on that, I want to make sure that I highlight a couple things within Vizion that might not be, something that you would notice at first glance. And that is one being that this is a single portal giving you that single pane of glass into your Panzura file system. This is a Panzura product. I'm a Panzura employee, and we've been building this Vizion.ai product to make sure that it's really benefiting our Panzura customer base. But also, maybe even a little bit more importantly, is each one of these features that I've walked you through within Vizion.ai today is potentially its own tool within another organization, which comes with a handful of responsibilities. Audit, like I said, probably the main feature that most of our Vizion customers are using, as well as the analytics. But each one of these comes with a different price, right, from a different organization, as well as a different support team. Then you have to manage all those integrations into your Panzura file system, which can be very troublesome in making sure that those integrations are always working. But then also having this all in one place with one support team, one price, and leveraging that support team that you're so familiar with on the Panzura side with a NPS score of, I believe, 86 today. We're always available to make sure that we're helping you along the process. and providing you all of these features within one interface, right? At a very reasonable price. This is based on a 50 terabyte environment, and providing you that with fully integrated into your Panzura file system, so you don't have to worry about those integrations, and providing you with each one of these features that are going to continue to evolve in the ways that are valuable to our Panzura customers. So just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind when you're starting to look at adopting Vizion.ai as a Panzura customer, or using Vizion.ai when you are becoming a Panzura customer. It's just a very nice way to have all these capabilities within one interface. We do have a a trial, free 30-day trial available to all of our Panzura customers that want to leverage Vizion.ai. So if you want to take advantage of that, please feel free to reach out to us. Info@panzura.com will get you in contact with the right people, and we can help you set that up. We can give you the opportunity to explore that a little bit more, and hopefully have you start using Vizion.ai here in the short term. Sam, I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to you, and then we'll go ahead and close this out.
Okay, sounds good. We did get a couple of questions in. First, when will write be added in file audit user actions filter?
When will what?
Write. Right.
So write is a new feature that we're adding here fairly shortly. It's our audit being our biggest feature within Vizion.ai. We're making a lot of improvements to adding additional capabilities. So there's a couple of different things that we're adding there. The first one is that you asked, the write capabilities. We're also adding the reads, the moves, copies, and then drill down into each one of these actions. And maybe even more importantly, we're also moving audit into real time. So it really sets the stage for us to add alerts into audit. So I'm very glad you asked that question, because like I said, audit is our main feature within Vizion, and our next big release within Vizion will be focused around bringing more capability into that audit.
We have another one. Has there ever been a situation where a file was deleted that Vizion was not able to find?
So Vizion.ai leverages the audit tool on the filer. So if an event ever happens, it is always captured, and then whatever is captured, since it's capturing everything that happens, will be available to you in Vizion.ai. So we have not had that, and we should not have that because we're capturing every event on that Panzura filer and presenting that to you on the Vizion product.
And lastly, how does pricing work?
So Vizion is priced on a per terabyte basis. If you want to dive in a little bit into the pricing, we're more than willing to work with you on that. Go ahead and contact us at the email address I have here on the screen, info@panzura.com. We'll make sure that we'll get you in contact with the right people to discuss that pricing. But it's pretty straightforward, and we'll make sure that we work with you on that.
Okay, sounds good. That was the last one. If anyone has any additional questions, as Grant was saying, please send us an email at info@panzura.com, and we'd be happy to address them. That being said, we'd like to thank everyone for attending, and a special thanks to Andy Peoples for taking the time to join us and share his insights and experience. This webinar has been recorded, and we will mail it out to everyone in the next couple of days. Please feel free to share the recording with anyone in your company who was not able to join us today. And thanks again.
Yes, thank you so much, Andy, and thank you so much, everybody that attended. Looking forward to hearing from you guys and getting you started with Vizion.ai.